In today's video, I'll teach you how to crochet this beautiful Easter chick amigurumi. So to crochet this beautiful amigurumi, you'll need a pair of scissors, crochet hook, tapestry needle, stitch markers. Of course, you'll need polyester fiber to fill the amigurumi, and a yellow, orange, and white yarn. For this amigurumi here, I used the amigurumi yarn from the brand Círculo and a 2.5 millimeter crochet hook size. And from the base of the amigurumi to the tip of the ear, it measures 8 centimeters. I will leave in the description the color codes of the yarn that I used for this version here. But for this tutorial, I decided to use this blushy yarn. This is a very good yarn. There is a whole video here in the channel dedicated to it because I thought this was such a good yarn that I had to share this tip with you guys. This is a blushy yarn that I bought in AliExpress. You can see that I am manipulating the yarn pretty hard and it does not break that easily. This is the label. I can also leave the link in the description for the store that I bought this yarn in case you want to check it later. And of course, I don't understand Chinese and I don't know what is written in here, but this is 100% polyester and this is a very good yarn quality. So I will leave the link in the description for this too. So let's get it started. So let's start crocheting the wings. We start with the magic ring. And you make 6 single crochets inside the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I have 6 single crochets inside the magic ring. Pull the thread in order to close it. And this is our round number 1. Forgot to mention, I'm using a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook size with this yarn. Now in round number 2, we make 1 single crochet and 1 increase 3 times. So I made the first single crochet, mark the first stitch of the round with my stitch marker. Now this is the first. Now 1 increase, 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, 1 increase. And now I have 9 single crochets in round number 2. Round number 3, let's remove the stitch marker. Round number 3, we make 2 single crochets and 1 increase 3 times. So I'll make the first single crochet of the round, mark with the stitch marker. 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase. This is our round number 3 and we end up with 12 single crochets. Now round number 4, we'll just repeat the same amount of stitches. So you just make single crochets. I made the first one, mark with the stitch marker, and we just make single crochets in this round number 4 to end up with 12 single crochets. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 single crochets in round number 4. You can simply put the remaining thread of the magic ring inside the amigurumi like this. Remove the stitch marker and let's fasten it off. You cut a piece of thread, pull the yarn like this, and with the help of the tapestry needle, we'll fasten it off. So the way I like to fasten off is, this is the following stitch. We skip this stitch, insert the tapestry needle in the following one, pull the yarn. You have the yarn here. Okay, let me pull it a little bit more. Insert the tapestry needle like this in the back loop of your previous stitch, and now you create a false stitch, because this is not a stitch. This is just, it looks like a stitch because of the way that we passed the yarn of the tapestry needle, but it's a false stitch. And that way the height between the last stitch of the round and the first one here is not so big. I simply pass the tapestry needle like this in any stitch and I make the invisible knot by grabbing any loop, tying a knot, pull the yarn, and I simply leave the remaining thread inside the amigurumi. And this is the wing. Of course, our chick has 2 wings, so repeat the sequence and all the steps that I just showed you to make the second one, and we will return to start the body. So I crocheted the second wing. You can see that I have 2 identical pieces here, and the remaining thread is inside the wing. So now let's start crocheting the body. We start with the magic ring and we make 8 single crochets inside the magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 single crochets inside the magic ring, pull the thread to close it, and this is our round number 1. Round number 2, we make 8 increases and we end up with 16 single crochets. So I always like to make the first stitch and mark with the stitch marker so I don't get lost. I marked the first stitch of the increase here, and now I will continue making increases until I reach the stitch marker again. So I finished round number 2 and I have 16 single crochets. Now on round 3, we make 1 single crochet and 1 increase 8 times, and we end this round with 24 single crochets. So I made the first stitch of the round, This is the first, and now increase. 1 single crochet, 1 increase. So repeat the sequence until you reach the stitch marker. I will keep doing it and I'll come back. So I finished round 3 and I have 24 single crochets here. So now round 4. Let me make the first single crochet here and mark. This is my mantra. So you make 1 single crochet, 1 increase, and now you make 2 single crochets and 1 increase 7 times. So 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase. I'll just keep doing it and I'll be back. So I did 2 single crochets and 1 increase 7 times, and you see that there is still 1 single crochet here left to work in it. So I just make 1 single crochet here, and we end this round with 32 single crochets. And now we move on to round number 5. Make the first single crochet, mark the stitch marker. And round 5, we make 3 single crochets and 1 increase 8 times. So this was the first one. So 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase. I will keep crocheting the sequence, 3 single crochets and 1 increase 8 times until I reach the stitch marker, and I'll be back. So I finished round 5 here, and I have 40 single crochets in this round. Now from round 6 to round 9, we will just repeat the sequence. It means that we'll have 40 single crochets in each round, okay? So you just have to make single crochets for the next rounds from round 6 to 9, which means 4 rounds, and that's it. I will keep crocheting it and I will be back. So I finished crocheting rounds 6 to 9 and I have here 40 single crochets. So now on round number 10, we will start joining the wings of the chick. So we remove the stitch marker, as always, to mark the first stitch of this round. And you make 8 single crochets. So this was the first one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 single crochets. Now remember that you have 12 single crochets here. When we pinch closing it, we have 6 single crochets in one side and 6 at the other side. Place the wings like this in your amigurumi. Insert the crochet hook in one stitch from the wing and in the following stitch of the body. Okay, like this. Bring the yarn through both stitches and complete the single crochet. We make this. This was the first one. Now we make it again. This is the second. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you see that this way we crochet the wings to the body, and there is no need to sew anything. So now we continue the body with 12 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 single crochets, and we will join the second wing. So again, insert the crochet hook in one of the stitches in the wing and in the following stitch of the body, and make 1 single crochet. Insert in the stitch of the wing, body, single crochet. So we did this twice. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you continue with 8 single crochets in the body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And this is how the body should look like. Have here the beginning of the round and both wings attached. On round number 11, we will do basically the same sequence that we did in round 10. Let me make the first stitch of the round and mark with the stitch marker. And the sequence that we need to do here is again 8 single crochets, then you reach the arm and we continue crocheting in this round here, not this one. I will do this first part with you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 single crochets. So now we need to join the second half of the wing. So insert in the first stitch of the wing here. We do not use these stitches anymore. So insert the crochet hook here and crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single crochets. And now we continue in the body and we make 12 single crochets. So that way, there is no need to stuff the wings, by the way, they are not stuffed. But that way you see that from now on we will work in this round here, and this part will remain inside the amigurumi and it's not important anymore. So we continue the body. I already have the first one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now we make 6 single crochets in the second wing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we finish the round with 8 single crochets in the body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And this is round 11. Round 12, we just repeat the sequence again and we make 40 single crochets. So as you know, I mark the first stitch of the round. I will keep crocheting 40 single crochets in round 12, and I will be back because we'll start decreasing. So I finished round 12 and I have 40 single crochets here. So now on round 13, we will start decreasing, as I said. So let me make the first stitch and mark. So we will make 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, 1 decrease. We make 8 single crochets and 1 decrease 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, decrease. Repeat it 2 more times, and then you make 4 single crochets. I will be back for the last part of this round. Just repeat 8 single crochets and 1 decrease 2 more times. And now you see that I have 4 single crochets left in this round 13. So we just make 1, 2, 3, and 4 single crochets. And we end this round 13 with 36 single crochets. So now in rounds 14 and 15, you just repeat the same sequence and you have 36 single crochets in each round, okay? So make 2 rounds of 36 single crochets each, and I will come back so we can insert the eyes and continue our beautiful chick. So I finished crocheting rounds 14 and 15, and I have 36 single crochets in each round. So now it's time to insert the safety eyes. I forgot to mention this in the beginning of the video, and I'm sorry for that. But this chick here that I crocheted with the cotton yarn, I used 10 millimeter safety eye. But for this one that is a bit bigger, I will use a 11 millimeter size, but you can use all the sizes if you want. So we insert the safety eyes between rounds 12 and 13 with 5 single crochets, 5 visible single crochets apart from each other. So let's count the rounds first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this is the round 12 and 13. I locate the line here and insert. I think it looks cute. Before attaching with the washers in your amigurumi, make sure that both eyes are in the same line between the same rounds, because you don't want one to be above the other. Your amigurumi will look weird in the end. So just look, see if it's okay like this. See if they both have the same distance from the wings, for example. So I have 2 single crochets here and 2 single crochets here, so they are symmetrical. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets between the eyes, so we are good to go and insert the washers. Now that we inserted the safety eyes, we'll continue crocheting and decreasing our beautiful chick. Round 16, let me remove the stitch marker. Make the first single crochet, mark with the stitch marker. Round 16, we make 2 single crochets, 1 decrease. So this was the first one, 2, and decrease. So now we make 4 single crochets and 1 decrease 5 times. So I will continue this sequence here and I will be back when I finish it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets and 1 decrease. Just keep doing it and I will be back when I finish this sequence. As I said, I did 2 single crochets, 4 single crochets and 1 decrease 5 times. And now we have 2 stitches here left to work. We will do 1, 2 single crochets and we finish round 16. Remove the stitch marker, mark the first stitch of the following round. And round 17, we make 3 single crochets and 1 decrease 6 times, and we end with 24 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, decrease, and this is the sequence that you have to do until the end when you reach the stitch marker. I will continue crocheting and I'll be back. So I finished round 17 and I have 24 single crochets here. We only have 2 more rounds to work in this amigurumi. So now is a good time to start stuffing it. Okay, I stuffed it a little bit. It's still quite empty, but I don't like to stuff that much while I'm still crocheting because otherwise you start to grab stuffing and it pops out the amigurumi and it's not beautiful. So I will continue crocheting and then I will stuff it a little bit more. And you can also put some yarn scraps inside. I always like to take this opportunity to put some yarn scraps like this. This is from a project that I was frogging and well, I can throw it away or I can either stuff my amigurumi with it. Round 18, we will make 1 single crochet and 1 decrease 8 times and we end up with 16 single crochets. So I make my first single crochet here, mark with the stitch marker, one single crochet, 1 decrease, 1 single crochet, 1 decrease. So you just keep doing the sequence until you reach the other side of the stitch marker. I finished round 18 and I have here 16 single crochets in this round. So now we will move on to the last round, but before we do that, we can stuff the amigurumi a little bit more. So let's move on to the last round, round 19. In this round, we will make 8 decreases and end up with 8 single crochets. So instead of doing the first single crochet here, we will already do the first decrease and mark with the stitch marker. So continue with decreases. I will continue decreasing and and I will be back to fasten it off with you. So I finished round 19, also our last round of this beautiful amigurumi. We cut a piece of the remaining thread. There's no need to be like 1 meter of yarn, but don't leave like a very short amount, otherwise it will be hard for you. You can safely remove the stitch marker, pull the yarn like this, and this is also your last chance to stuff the amigurumi. So I will put a bit more stuff in here because it's quite empty in this top part of the amigurumi before we fasten it off. Okay, now I feel that it's firm enough. The amigurumi is not empty, but it's not overstuffed. So it's bloated, it's firm. I am pressing it and I can feel that it's firm enough. So we can make the inverted magic ring and fasten it off. For this, we use the tapestry needle. And the way that I usually make the inverted magic ring is I insert only in the front loops of the stitches. So I pass in the first one, I skip the following and insert here, skip the following and insert in the front, skip the following, insert in the front. You can pull it and you see that we perfectly closed the amigurumi. You can insert in the middle the tapestry needle like this. You leave with the whole, you can leave with the tapestry needle at any point in your amigurumi. You see that when we pull, the yarn here enters a little bit more. So this is good to do in order to avoid the amigurumi getting pointy like this. Sometimes it forms a small triangle and it's ugly. So you pull the yarn and we make the invisible knot once again. You grab any loop next to where the yarn is and you tie a knot like this. We can barely see the knot because it's the same color of the yarn, of course, but the knot is here. Oh, I really don't think you'll see that, but you can simply enter with the tapestry needle again in your amigurumi, leave at any point, and you pull the thread to hide this knot. And that's it. You can cut this remaining thread, and this is the body of our cute chick. Now that we already have the body of our amigurumi, it's time to start using the orange yarn. And to make the beak, we will start with our magic ring. And we make 6 single crochets inside the magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 single crochets inside the magic ring. Pull the thread to close it, and this is our round number 1. Round number 2, I insert the crochet hook in the first stitch. Here, mark with the stitch marker. You're already familiar with how it works. 1, 2, increase. 1, 2, and increase. And you end round number 2 with 8 single crochets. And this is the beak of the amigurumi. It will get super cute. We can now remove the stitch marker and you leave a long thread for sewing. How do I like to measure the amount of thread? I simply wrap the yarn around the piece that I'm going to sew like twice or 3 times. Let me do this here in the table because it will be a bit easier. I wrap it like this once. I know it's a bit loose. This is the best way so you not run out of yarn to sew. Yeah, I think this is a lot, but for me, better safe than sorry when it comes to sewing. We can pull this, and that's it for the beak. So let's sew the beak to the amigurumi. So whenever I need to sew amigurumi parts together, I always like to place pins to have it well placed, correctly positioned, and it also helps to avoid the parts that you're sewing to move. If I simply start sewing, maybe it can move, and in the end, it will not be well placed. So whenever you need to sew parts together, simply pin everything. Like the yarn is here, so I will pin this side. I will pin here and also here. So now I will start sewing and it won't move. You see that it's well secured. So you have to sew the beak. So the place that you have to sew here is between rounds 10 and 11. So you see that in between rounds 10 and 11, 11, 12. So it occupies 2 rounds, rounds 11 and 12, in the middle of the eyes. And this is how we will place here. So this is in between round 10 and 11. So this is round 11, this is round 12. It will occupy the space of 2 rounds, and it's between the eyes. So, and there is no need to stuff this beak, okay? You can leave it like this. Let's start sewing it. Okay, so now that I finished sewing and it's well secured, I will fasten off doing the invisible knot you're already familiar with because I've done this quite a lot in this tutorial. And now we move on to the feet. To make the feet of our chick, we will use the tapestry needle. And I advise you to take a long piece of thread like this. And we will make a V shape between rounds 5 and 6. So here is round 5, here is round 6. We will do it between these rounds, okay? And the feet will have 5 single crochet distance from each other. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets apart from each other, okay? So again, you can use pins to locate everything before actually start embroidering the feet of the amigurumi. I do have a couple of pins here, so I mentioned that we should do it between rounds 5 and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is what I have to do. 5 and 6. And we can also use the pins to see where we are going to do the V shape. So I will do it here from this stitch to this stitch. And here I will do from this one to this one. And why am I doing it? Why am I marking the feet with the pins? Because, as I said, the feet are supposed to be between rounds 5 and 6, with 5 single crochets apart from each other here in the middle. But maybe one you sew a little bit more to the side and one is more centered, and you won't have the feet like this. The idea is that they are aligned with the eyes. So this is why it's so important to mark all the parts before you do it. The same with sewing. So I am happy with the position that I marked here with my pins, so we can get it started. First, I will make the V shape. You see that I inserted my tapestry needle diagonally. I will pass it twice in this direction. Then I remove this pin and I will insert here in the same gap between stitches where my pin was. You see how easy it is once you pin everything? You're not lost. You know exactly where you have to do stuff. And we did our first V shape. So now that we passed the yarn twice vertically, we will pass it several times horizontally like this, grabbing the 2 loops that you created. This technique is quite easy and it gives such a beautiful effect in the amigurumi. You just pass it horizontally until you cover the whole line that you did before vertically. And there is no right or wrong in the amount of times you do it, okay? You just do it until you cover everything. Once you've done it, you enter with your tapestry needle at the tip here again. And in the other side, you also pass it horizontally. And it doesn't matter if you pass it from right to left or left to right, the result will be exactly the same. And we finished the first one. Now that we finished it, with the remaining thread that I still have here, I will enter this side and I will do the second feet using exactly the same procedure. You do the V shape twice vertically and then you pass horizontally several times to create the Z-tail. I will do the second feet and I'll be back to fasten off this thread with you. So you see that I finished the feet, but now I will fasten it off with you. I have the remaining thread here in one side, and here the yarn is still connected to my skein of yarn. So I enter exactly in the same place where my yarn is, and I will go to the same gap between stitches where the other side of the yarn is. I cut the yarn here. You can simply tie a knot. I'll make 2 knots. If you want, you can make a third one just to make sure that it's well secured. And with the help of the tip of the tapestry needle, you can put this knot inside the amigurumi. You can either do it with the tapestry needle, or you can use tweezers, which is one of my favorite accessories for that purpose. And it's way easier. You can cut the remaining thread, or you see that with the help of this kind of pointy tweezers, you can put all the remaining thread inside the amigurumi, and it's quite easy and fast to be done as well. And now to finish the chick, there is only one detail left, which will make a big difference in the amigurumi, believe me. This tone of yellow here is a bit bright, so maybe you cannot see that well, but it will highlight way better with this amigurumi. So you take the white yarn, insert at any point in your amigurumi. I will put it here in the side. I bring the tapestry needle in this stitch on top of the eye, pull the yarn, and you contour the outer corner of the eyes of the amigurumi like this. You come back, let me pull the thread because it's a bit longer than it should be. You contour the outer corner of the eye like this, and you go back to the same place where you started with the tapestry needle. You pull the yarn and look how cute it looks now. It makes a huge difference, right? And to fasten off, we use exactly the same technique that we did here with the feet. Tie a knot, put the knot inside with the help of the tapestry needle or the tweezers that are way easier. I will do it in the other eye and I will come back. And to crochet the hat, we will use the white yarn and start with the magic ring as always. And we make 6 single crochets inside the magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is our round number 1. You can pull the thread to close the magic ring. Round number 2, we make 6 increases. So 1, 2, let's mark the first stitch of the increase, second increase, third increase, fourth increase, fifth increase, and the 6th and last one. And round number 2 with 12 single crochets. Round 3, we make 1 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times. So I make my first single crochet here, increase, 1 increase, oops, increase, 1 increase, 1 increase, and the last one, oops, and we end round 3 with 18 single crochets. Round number 4. Let me make the first single crochet here, mark with the stitch marker, and we make one increase. Now we make 2 single crochets and 1 increase 5 times. 1, 2, increase, 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 and there is 1 stitch left. We make 1 single crochet, and we end this round with 24 single crochets. Round 5, we make 3 single crochets and 1 increase 6 times. So I did the first stitch, mark with the stitch marker, 1, 2, 3, increase. And this is the sequence that you have to do until you reach the stitch marker again. I will keep crocheting and I will come back. So I finished this round, round 5, and I have 30 single crochets in this round. Round 6, we remove the stitch marker, make 1 single crochet, mark the first stitch of the round. In this round, we make 1, 2 single crochets, 1 increase. Now we make 4 single crochets and 1 increase 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase. Continue this sequence. Okay, remember that you have to do 4 single crochets and 1 increase 5 times, and I will come back when I finish it. So I did the sequence, 4 single crochets and 1 increase 5 times. I still have 2 single crochets left. So 1, 2, and I finished this round with 36 single crochets. Okay, so round 6, you finish with 36 single crochets. Now round number 7, we just repeat the same amount of single crochets, okay? So we just make single crochets in round 7 and we end this round with 36 single crochets. I will continue crocheting here, round 7, and I will be back. So I finished round 7 and this is the last round of the bunny hat. You can cut the yarn here and fasten off. So I finished round 7 and this was the last round of the bunny hat. You can cut the yarn and fasten off, and you see that this hat here perfectly fits the top of the amigurumi. It can perfectly fit the head of our cute chick. So now let's crochet the last part, which is the ears of our cute hat. So to make the ears, we start with 6 single crochets inside the magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single crochets inside the magic ring. Pull the thread and this is our round number 1. Round 2, we make 6 increases. So 1 increase, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we end with 12 single crochets in round number 2. Round 3, we make 3 single crochets and 1 increase. So the first one, mark with the stitch marker, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase, and the third and last time. So I think I skipped one. 1, 2, 3, and increase in the last one, and we have 15 single crochets in this round. Now from round 4 to round 8, we just repeat the same amount of single crochets. It means that for 5 rounds we will repeat 15 single crochets. So I will keep crocheting from round 4 to round 8, 15 single crochets in each round, and I will come back. So I finished crocheting round 8, and I have 15 single crochets here. We will not stuff this part. What we have to do now is you make 1 chain here, insert the crochet hook in the following stitch, you press the amigurumi like this, pinch closing it, and you pass the crochet hook through both layers. You see? Now we bring the yarn through both layers and make 1 single crochet. Insert the crochet hook in the following stitch, pass it through the second layer, and you make the single crochet. So we did it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last one, 7. And now we closed this part of the amigurumi. You leave a long thread to sew. Pull it. And now you make a second piece just like this one. With the tapestry needle, you pass it in the first single crochet here from the other tip of the ear to close it like this and form the shape of a drop. And you keep passing the yarn in zigzag from one side to the other. And here it is. You make a second piece exactly like this one, and I will be back so we can sew it to the hat and finish our amigurumi. So now that I have my 2 ears crocheted here, we can sew it to the top of the hat. You see that I have a pin here. I have a couple of pins. So remember, once again, it's super important to pin everything to check if they are in the right position, and there is no exact place to sew the ears. The goal is to sew it on top of the hat. I will place it here right in the middle of the magic ring. Like this. Oh my god, it's so cute. I'm in love with this amigurumi. So now that I pinned everything, I will sew the ears to the hat. I can remove it because it will be easier for me to sew. And I will come back once I finish sewing everything. One important thing that I almost forgot to mention with you, I sewed the first ear here, on the right side, and I will not fasten off. Whenever I have 2 parts to sew, like ears, arms, feet, I like to first place everything, sew both parts, and then fasten off, because in case I don't like the position of the amigurumi, I can simply do it again. Okay? Well, and now it's up to you if you want to leave your cheek like this, if you want to glue. There's also this possibility of gluing the hat to the cheek, or in case you prefer to sew it, you can sew the hat to the head. Then it looks amazingly cute, right? Well, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Remember to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any new content, tutorial tips and tricks videos that I bring here every week.